up, everybody? I'm back with the solo lane guide, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 warriors in the new patch after all of the warrior buffs and all the mage nerfs. Here, I'm going to show you guys the top 5 warriors. Now, I'm not saying these are the top 5 solos. I'm not going to say that right away. Still got more testing to do, but I will say that I think these are the top 5 warriors you should be playing in ranked right now to win your games and have a good time and have a good lane for the most part. So yeah, without further ado, get the bullshit out of the way. Let's get into it. I'm going to go at number 5, Surtr. I actually really like this character right now. He's a very big lane bully. I actually think his late game's pretty good. He's one of the few warriors that can actually kill people. If you get stacks on his one, it does a massive amount of damage. I like to go Axe on him. You can go Bluestone if you prefer that, but I think Axe is a really nice early game now because it has 20 power. It allows you to be a lane bully. If you're fighting somebody with Bluestone and you have Axe, as long as you're making good use out of your Axe procs, you're going to outtrade them for the most part. So I like to go tier 1 Scepter plus health pots, and of course we go teleport. Basically always go teleport. I'm going to throw the things down here, the little extras, I guess I'll call them. Bow and Horn Shard. I actually like Bow and Horn Shard on this character because it just cooldowns. Once you get Scepter, you're just going to be slamming them with ones. You're going to be able to stack up your one, or you can just hit them and just keep hitting them and you'll do a ton of damage. And then Bow helps with that as well. You know, just being able to constantly stack with your one. It's a very important ability. You want to max your one as well on this character. We got some gameplay on the YouTube if you want to know how to play him. So we go into the Scepter, like I said, his best item, insanely strong for the lane. You'll outtrade basically everybody if they let you just hit them. If you guys are just hitting each other, slap boxing, you'll win that trade most of the time. Into Arc Druids, another nice item for Surtr, just a good defense item, good transition item. Gives you a little bit of defense for their mid laner mage if they are one. And of course, combos well with his one because you're going to be auto-attacking people, so that extra damage is going to come in real handy for one-shotting people. Then I like to go Sundering Axe. By this time, you're usually getting Sundering Axe around 5th item most of the time, into a Mantle. I really like Mantle now. They made it a little bit more affordable, and it's just still a strong item. Passive's really strong. Right now, tank items, late game, they're still useless, right? So you need to be buying items that give you something useful in the passive. So for example, Pestilence gives you a ton of anti-heal, so you can win a fight off that. Mantle, the passive may proc, and it may help you live, or stun them to help you kill somebody. So stuff like that's really important. But of course, you know, consider going items like Spectral if they have a crit, if they have a lot of auto attackers. Midgard Email is still a strong item. And of course, if you just want a little bit more damage, Binding combos well with all of his abilities as well because, you know, your 1 slows, your 2 stuns, your ult knocks up. So your 1's going to be doing more damage with that Prot Shred. Archery's going to be doing more damage, Sundering Axe, all that. Well, not Sundering Axe, that's true damage, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that's Surtr at number 5. I really like this character. If you know how to play him well, he could be number 1. And that's the thing about all these characters is that, you know, whatever you're comfortable on is kind of the most important thing. Speaking of comfortability, Nike coming at number 4. Another Axe character. I think it's really nice on her. Usually I go into a Glad Shield first item, but you can consider something you're going to notice in some of these builds is Gaia is actually pretty viable now. Not because of the 15 power. The 15 power is whatever, but it was one of the few items that didn't get nerfed in the nerfing patch where they nerfed every single item in the game, all of the base stats on everything. It still has 350 health on it, and the passive still has 2 passives. It still has crazy sustain, so it's very hard to outtrade somebody who has Axe plus Gaia. It's just so much sustain. And of course, the random times you do get that little bit of power. You know, it'll come in handy a little bit, but it's not really great for PvEing, which is what tanks really want the power for in the first place. But of course, yeah, so you can consider that. Tier 1 Gaia is something you can consider. Something I also have been messing around with, I was inspired by Nika, he's been going this build, is actually going Jotun's first. And the reason you do this is you go Jotun's Glyph, this one. It gives you 15% movement speed and 20% ability lifesteal every time you go below 60% HP. So basically, you'll always have it when you need it. It lasts for, I think, 8 seconds, and it gives you a ton of healing. Like, on the wave, if you hit the whole wave, it's twice what Soul Eater would give you. And 50% movement speed is really nice as well. So I have been messing around with this, plus the 35 power and, you know, basically full cooldown right out of the gates as a warrior. That can give you a lot of kill potential on basically anyone, especially like junglers and mid laners. So that is something you consider going on Nike. You'll see it on another character later on in the video. But for now, if you want to be a little bit more safe, I like to just go into a Glad Shield, into an Arc Druids. Of course, you cannot go Pridwin on Nike, so don't go that. You are a little mana hungry at this point, so you can consider going like a Genji's or an Oni's if you like that. I just think Pestilence is really strong right now. So you should basically be going that every single game. Now, Nike is an ADC counter, basically. That's our whole entire job. So you could go Midgardian here, and it'll be really strong. So you can just basically just focus out that ADC and just only go on him and keep him out of the fight. But you can also go Binding. It procs on your slow, procs on your knockups. So it's really strong and helps you kill people. And then, of course, usually I'd be going last item Mantle, like I said before. But again, Midgardian's definitely an option. Basically, always go Blink on Nike second. If they have a ton of CC, Beads isn't bad either on her because she can initiate with her jump and everything. All you got to look out for on Nike right now is Sunders. But even then, you're still going to be useful. You're still going to be tanky. And you know, just ruin the enemy ADC's day, okay? She's very good at that right now, so definitely a good Axe character. And of course, in lane, the easiest character to proc Axe on, like basically by far, just because you have unmissable abilities. And her lane push is really good, so you don't need something like a Bluestone to even clear. So yeah, that's Nike at number 4. Like I said, guys, especially at most people's ranks, you can just play whatever you want right now, I think, as far as warriors go, as long as you're comfortable on them. So this is just a suggestion, in my opinion, maybe just have a little bit of edge over other characters. And of course, Cuchulainn, he's gotten buffed quite a few times in recent memory. The builds are good for him right now. And speaking of which, Gaia is actually, like I said before, you could consider going it on Nike, but I basically go it on Cuchulainn every single game. Just because he doesn't have sustain in his kit. Obviously, Nike doesn't either, but she just kind of functions a little bit different. I mean, Cuchulainn, you have to be in their faces, so that sustain's going to come in handy. So basically, every game I go Gaia first item. If you get value out of it in lane, you definitely want to go. If you don't get any value out of it in lane, like they don't have any knockups, it's still worth going, in my opinion. But you consider going something like Glad Shield first item, like I did with the Nike build. Oh, that's where I'm supposed to put my potions. Oops. So yeah, you can actually go 5 potions with tier 1 Gaia. So with 5 potions, Axe Sustain, Glowing Emerald, HP 5 from Cuchulainn passive, plus like if you pick up the blue. What you want to do with Cuc right now is actually pick up the speed buff or the red buff if your mid laner can pull the red buff. Really strong on him, helps your lane a lot more than a blue buff will, because blue buff's kind of useless on him, of course. You fill out the rest of the build. So yeah, we go Gaia first. Then we go into that Glad Shield, still a strong item, good HP 5. And obviously the passive is going to come in handy on a character like Cuchulainn who can spam abilities. Archdruids you're going to see in basically every build. I think it's a staple right now. It gives you a little bit more damage to actually kill people in fights. It gives you enough tanky stats, 35 each spot, 250 HP, 15 MP5. Obviously not very relevant on Cuchulainn, but most characters it is. Usually I go a Pestilence here. You can actually still go Heartward Glyph. I think Heartward Glyph is still strong. In fact, I think there's a few magical defense items that you can consider going, but I just really like Pestilence. So you can consider going that glyph, but Pestilence I think is very strong. And then of course you go Sundering Axe. Now with this build, probably go Mantle. The thing about Gaia late game is it loses a little bit of value. So late game you do want to sell that for something. So if they have Crit, Spectral, make Guardian if they have some auto attackers, and this would be a really nice build. You'll be diving very well with this. Be pretty tanky. Of course, always go Blink on Cuchulainn. I don't want to see you building beads on this character ever. TP Blink ult in a team fight, get the fight started, and be an alpha male Giga Chad. Don't be a little beta male sitting in the back like, oh, I'm gonna beads and survive with you guys, help me out. Gotta get the fuck in there. All right, speaking of get the fuck in there, coming in number 2, might be a surprise, but Chaac. So those are the few characters I think you can or maybe should still go Bluestone on. I think Axe is still good on him, so I'm just gonna throw in both. It's really up to you. The build's gonna be pretty similar regardless, so just keep that in mind. Tier 1, always be going Scepter. This is the strongest item. Of course, you're gonna be going 4 potions with that. And Teleport, I'm not going to put that because we don't fit it and I don't want to ruin the whole organization here. So yeah, Scepter first item on this character every time. I didn't show what I would be going on the Cuchulainn and Nike as far as recipes. I forgot about that. Nike, you want to be building Bow, and then on Cuchulainn you want to go Sturdy Stew. He can't build Bow, so go Sturdy Stew. A little bit of protections, it'll help. But anyway. So yeah, so on Chaac you start with Scepter because of the heal and his passive, plus Bow is going to be crazy. You're going to be constantly using your abilities, out trading people, and going absolute dicko mode. Into a Glad Shield on him as well. I like to go Thebes on him. Just gives you, or you can go Prophetic, just one or the other. Just gives you a ton of protections combined with your 2 for the late game for your Sundering Axe procs. And if you have a Redstone as well, if you go the Bluestone route, it's going to give you a ton of protections because of the percentage increase. So you consider going that. If not, just go into that Archdruids again. One of the few characters I think you should be building, not few characters, I think you could build Purwood on literally anybody. It's just hard to fit in the build right now. But Purwood Glyph is still so strong on this character. So definitely something to consider going. Go Sundering Axe, and then last item, whatever you need. Maybe a Mantle. We're overcap CDR right now. We do not care in the least bit. Binding is still strong because Proxon is slow. And his ult is good for diving. Dawnbringer is an option, especially if you get Gauntlet of Thebes. You have enough prots from that you can get something like a Dawnbringer, but you know, most games a Mantle or a Midgardian Mail is going to be just enough. So that's the build on Chaac. A few of these characters I'm suggesting because I really don't think you can mess them up as well. Like they're good in basically every single game as long as you're not a complete noob. And even if you are a complete noob, I find it hard to even mess up on Chaac. So that's why I'm kind of suggesting that. Now, a character I put in the honorable mentions that I think is very feast or famine that could be easily number 1. And it's kind of the opposite of what I just said. It's actually pretty hard to mess up this, or pretty easy to mess up this character. That's why I don't have her in the top 5, but it's Mulan. If you're comfortable on this character and you own you are going to destroy. But if you get ganked early, you're not too comfortable on her, you get a little bit behind, it is very hard to get back in the game just because she's very feast or famine, because she's very immobile, at least until she's level 5 or has her grapple leveled up. But the reason I like her right now is because of Axe, very strong on her. So she's one of these characters that can go any of the hammers. She's good with Runeforge. She's good with Scepter because of the heal on her too. She honestly, you could even go Dawnbringer on her. Probably wouldn't go at first item because she's kind of mana hungry, so you want an MP5 item first. But yeah, Dawnbringer is even nice on her because of how it works with her ult. You ult in. So right now I've been messing around with Scepter, so I'll just throw that in there. Into a Glad Shield. I still like Manticore on this character. She has a lot of CC. Her 3 plus her ult's going to be proccing it a lot. And it'll help you one-shot some people. Plus it gives you that more MP5 that you need. So is that something you consider? But of course, basically every single build, you can just get an Archdruids and be chilling. MP5-wise, you're kind of already chilling at this point as well. But you can go Onis if you like that, Heartward Glyph. But I like to go Pestilence. Now, this is one of those characters where I think Pridwin Glyph would be real nice on. So if you can throw in a Pridwin Glyph last item, like here, be feeling pretty good. And then late game, I probably will, late game, I'll probably sell my Scepter for a physical defense item, because you'll probably need a little bit of that at this point. So like a Midgardian, maybe even Contagion. Consider going Contagion in some builds if they have healing on their team. So yeah, I think I just ruined my whole build, but you know the deal. Tier 1 Scepter, pretty much the same on everybody. Teleport. And go Bow on this character. You can go Blink on her as well. She can initiate pretty well without having to go Blink, so you consider going Beads. You can consider going another relic like a Sunder or a like a Horrific or something like that, maybe a Shell. So that's something you can consider, but yeah, let's move on as an honorable mention. Another honorable mention is Wukong, and here's the build coming back, the Nika build that I was talking about. I don't really think, I'm actually not too big of a fan of this character right now. I think the other characters maybe just kind of do what he does and are a lot tankier and can be a little bit more of a nuisance, can bully him out as well in lane. But Wukong's always Wukong, you know, if you're comfortable on him, he's kind of hard to gank and not kind of hard, he's very hard to gank, and you know, he's just a boring character. But regardless, this is kind of a fun build on a boring character, so we'll take it. So we're going to be going tier 1 Jotuns, if I can type it in. There we go. Tier 1 Jotuns. HP potions, of course, and teleport. You consider not going teleport and going like Beads or Blink, and then just having Beads Blink for late game fights. But regardless, going into that Jotun's Glyph as our first item, like I said, really strong in the lane itself. Transitions well into the mid game with your team and the healing and sustain that it gives, plus the movement speed. The movement speed is very underrated. 15% is quite nice. Into a second item, Glad Shield. You need MP5 at this point, so consider going in Oni Hunters or Genjis. Probably just a Genjis. Honestly, into an Archdruids just for that little bit of damage. Get your Axe at this point, and then a last item, kind of whatever you need. You honestly could go Brawlers here, and you'll have like a decent amount of damage for diving. But of course, you can go like a Midgardian, a Binding as well. That helps you out with a little bit of damage, a little bit of tankiness. So that's something to consider. Of course, go Bow on Wukong. Bow is still pretty much my go-to starter item or recipe on most people. Blink, teleport Blink with this build. You'll be fine in fights as long as you get your ult off. You want to make sure you ult early, not late. But of course, if you started Beads or started Blink, you could just go Beads Blink and you'll be chilling there as well. So yeah, that's Wukong as another honorable mention. And coming in at number 1, and the reason I have this character as number 1 is because it is incredibly hard to not have just like a fine game on this character right now. He's so weird because I think at a top level, Achilles is like, he's sort of overrated because he doesn't even really do all that much. But right now, they've buffed him quite a bit. He heals so much from his 2 now. The build is really strong on him. He's one of the best Axe users. And I think at most levels of play, you will never have a bad game on this character. He's hard to gank. He's very, very tanky. Probably the tankiest warrior in the game if you're in armor stance late game. It's just hard, so hard to mess up. I have to put him at number 1. So going an Axe first. Been messing around with going Gaia first on this character as well. Just so much sustain combined with your 2 plus Axe plus well, I guess that's it, but it's just crazy the amount of heals you get back and the sustain you have. So that's something you consider. My only issue with Achilles is that his PvE potential is pretty low. But I think at most levels of play that just meaningless. Nobody really knows that, and most people will just fight you, so you can just sit there and hit them. The best thing for Achilles to happen is just fight back and forth with the enemy soul or at melee range. Like you're gonna win that fight almost always. So I am just gonna throw in Gaia because that's what I've been going, and teleport. I keep messing it up. I keep doing this. 5 consumables and a teleportation device. Yeah, first time Gaia into a Glad Shield. into an Archdruids. You're going to feel so tanky right here, by the way. Even if their mage hits you, you're going to be insanely tanky, especially if they have any displacement to proc your Gaia, but they don't even need it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Then our magical defense item here, it's either going to be an Oni's or a Pestilence. I like to go Pestilence. You could also go Heartward Glyph, actually wombo combos really nicely with Achilles, so something to consider, but I just really like Pestilence right now. Tons of HP 5, by the way. 3 HP 5 items already. You're going to be healing it like a freaking hell, just spamming your 3. So then we get our Sundering Axe. Pretty similar to all the builds you saw before, into a Mantle. And then we sell our our Stone of Gaia for like a Binding, a Midgardian Mail, Contagion, whatever you really need. If you don't have a Glyph at this point, I would even consider going Pridwin Glyph as your last item. Going to be very, very strong. Because once you... With Achilles, you have to actually ult like away. It has to go on cooldown. So if you execute somebody, you're not going to get the shield until you use it again. But sometimes you can like ult to close a gap and just run at them with your armor stance plus Pridwin shield plus all of this tankiness. Like, it is very hard for them to like get past you or chew through your health bar. So yeah, I actually have Achilles at number 1. And it's mainly because of the axe changes, all the buffs you gotten, and of course all the nerfs to everything else. So yeah, that's going to be my top 5 warriors with the honorable mentions. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a thing or two. Like I said in the video, and I always say, comfortability is the most important thing. If you're having success with, let's look at the warrior tab real quick. If you're having success with Bologna, keep playing her. If you're having success with Odin, keep playing her. I just hope that you're building pretty similar, because I think that's kind of the meta build that I'm not really going to negotiate with too much. But yeah, you know, keep doing what you got to do to win your rank games, and hopefully you learned a thing or two. Bars. That's it. Stay safe and healthy as always, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!